Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates and my opinions. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 11,200 subscribers, and if you could click that like button, I'd be incredibly grateful. There's lots to talk about today. New names that we've not heard of before. Literally a name I've never heard of before that we'll be talking about. Obviously, we'll talk a bit about the Euros later in the stream as well, and we'll be wrapped up in time for those 8 p.m. kickoffs. But there's loads of you here. It's good to be back. Vlad, Sportcat, Pekka, Big Chib, El Minister, Hyper, Icarus, Ethan Udall, Anu Brata, Lord Ferguson of Aberdeen, Saka the Goat, Kazenex, Kinkai, Joshua, Hannah, Saliba, Ross Lawman, and many, many more. I hope you're all doing well. There is not a watch along tonight. No, there is not a watch. It's too hot. Legitimately, it is too hot for me to sit in this room for 2 hours and do a watch. It's 29 degrees outside. I am sweating like a nun in a brewery. It is not good. It is not good. Why would a nun sweat in a brewery? That's not the phrase. That's not the phrase. Why would a nun? I've mangled two phrases there. I'm sweating like a pedo in a playhouse. That'll do. Either way, I'm sweating. That's what I mean. Do you mean Joan Garcia? No clue who Joan is. No, I mean Joan Garcia. I do mean Joan Garcia, not Juan Garcia. That's what I'm talking about. We will get into Joan. We will get into Joan. Still buzzing on my first Guess the Non-Gooner, Guess the Gooner or Guess the Non-Gooner win. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. To me, it seems obvious. It's much better to ask high and sell mid than to ask low and sell lower. Just need to not set it so high that buyers don't negotiate at all. Of course, that is how negotiations work. Shout out, by the way, to everyone that watched the video yesterday. Obviously, we didn't go live yesterday. I went out to watch the England game. Complete fucking waste of time that was. But I did upload a video, and I do appreciate those of you that watched that video that was in place of the stream. So, shout out to you. No, I'm not saying that. It was an analogy. I am not Dr. Disrespect. How confident are you with selling all the players we want to sell? Not confident. Not confident. And I'll explain that in a little bit. But look, let's get into today's news. A little one, I suppose. Alex Crook, Pedro Neto is on the radar of Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal, and Newcastle. Wolves, who are expecting Neto to leave this summer, are willing to listen to offers of around 60 million. So we already knew that 60 million was what it would take. Apparently, Spurs, City, Newcastle are the other teams that are interested in Neto. And again, look, I think it's not a bad one for us to go to. Can we fight off? Well, I mean, City. Does City need him? Really? Another winger? They've got Savio. They've got Doku. They've got Grealish. They've got Foden. They really need another one? I'm not so sure. Belgium, Denmark, France, terrible performances. And what, Dr. Disrespect? I'm confused. Look it up on Twitter. Look it up on Twitter. What sort of source is Alex Crook on your journalist source rating? You know, he's kind of, for me, I'd be looking at like a sweet and sour dip, which isn't really something I often go for. You know, it's got its place. It's got its place. He mainly reports for TalkSport. So I think that kind of sums it up, you know. Anyway, look, let's talk about the main guy on the thumbnail, Joan Garcia. Who's Joan Garcia? I hear you asking. This came from Gerard Romero today. So Gerard Romero, he's got like 1.2 million followers on Twitter. He was talking on Twitch, and he basically just said, Joan Garcia, the Espanyol keeper, is the future of Arsenal. So I'm not sure what you make of that, but he seemed certain that Joan Garcia is going to Arsenal. According to Diario, which is another Spanish outlet, Spurs are actually the team that are closest to getting Joan Garcia. The player is tempted, but he's not in a hurry to determine his future. The club will only accept an offer close or equal to his 25 million euro release clause. So if you could get him without paying the release clause, obviously it would be ideal because it's a Spanish player, which means you'd have to pay the entire release clause. You'd have to pay the entire release clause up front, which is never ideal, even if it's only 25 million euros. But this is who we're talking about. This is who we're talking about. This guy, Joan Garcia. Now, that I think is bollocks. So what's 100? That's wrong, basically. 181 centimeters. That puts him under 6 foot tall. He just is taller than that. I think if you go on to like, let me have a look at him on Transfer Market, see what they think he is. I don't think he's that short. Because if you look at like team pictures, he's the tallest player in the team. So how could the tallest player in the team be fucking... Yeah, so according to Transfer Market, he's 191 centimeters. By the way, this shows how little this player is known. No one has a clue how tall he is. Smithy is back. Smithy is back. He's alive. Smithy, it's good to have you back in the streams, and I'm glad you're alive and kicking. But yeah, so okay, look, he's tall. I reckon he's about 6'2", just based on the eye test. On the eye test, looking at the rest of the players in the squad, I think he's about 6'2". He's 23 years old. He was in the, well, I mean, that's the stats from the La Liga 2 playoffs. So obviously he was in La Liga 2 this season. I mean, that's decent. That's nice. That's pretty much the most all-round one of those maps I've ever seen, really, which is impressive. Although I wonder if that is because it's based off that. Anyway, if we come down here, very nice. Very good, very nice. 0 errors leading to goals. Yeah, I mean, this is just good stuff, isn't it? That's maybe not as good, but again, I'm pretty sure Raya's for this is absolutely terrible, which is because every time he goes long, there's no one to win it. Look, what can I tell you? High claims. This is what we like. This is David Raya. Sweeper. This is what we like. This is David Raya. Outside of that, I don't know much about him. Have I ever seen him play? No, I have not. But that is reportedly on the agenda. Now, obviously, he would come in as... Well, so this is... Ross Lawman, you ask a sensational question. Why would Spurs want him? I mean, I guess they need a second-choice keeper as well, right? Who's their current second-choice keeper? Forster. So we are both in the market for a second-choice keeper. Obviously, they bought Vicario last season. We're buying David Raya. So for both clubs, I think this would be a second-choice keeper. But yeah. We'll see. We'll see. He's like Raya 2.0, would be perfect for our backup. Yeah, I've seen some people say that, but I'm convinced they've never actually watched him play. You cannot tell me that we have never been linked to this guy before. I am not buying into the fact that there were people watching Espanyol play in La Liga 2 this season that thought, yeah, that's Raya 2.0. But I have seen people saying it, so we'll see. Has there ever been a group like this we just experienced with all 4 teams finishing on 4 points? I believe there was, I want to say World Cup 19... This is guesswork. It was in the 90s. There was a World Cup group in the 90s that finished with everyone on 4 points. And I believe it was Norway went out of that. So it has happened before. It's never happened in the Euros. It's the first time it's ever happened in the Euros. And it's kind of crazy, right? Because Ukraine finished on more points than Slovenia, who have qualified from our group, than Denmark, who have qualified from our group, and probably 2 of the other third-place teams that are going to go through. So, yeah, Ukraine are pretty unlucky, but it is what it is. The Euros have been dreadful so far. Do you know what? I just uploaded a video off the back of that Ukraine game, and a lot of the comments were saying this is the worst Euros in history. Until about 3 days ago, no one was saying that, though. Literally, until about 3 days ago, no one was saying it was the worst Euros in history because we'd had a lot of like dramatic games. I mean, even on the night of Group A, the Hungary late equaliser against Scotland, the Germany late equaliser. Like, I feel like it's been fine. It's just that last night and tonight were bad. But there's more games tonight that might even be better. Basically, England's group was absolutely abysmal. Absolutely stunk up the gaff. And then those 5 p.m. kickoffs were pretty bad as well. But overall, I think it's been a decent Euro so far. Germany scored more goals than our entire group. Yeah. I mean, our group was a disgrace. Our group was an absolute disgrace. Just because England is shit doesn't mean the whole tournament is. Yeah, I agree. It's baking in Germany. These guys are playing in Egyptian weather. Yeah, it is hot at the moment in Europe. It is hot at the moment in Europe. Anyway, so that's that Joan Garcia. We'll keep an eye on that. Once again, it does suggest that we are going for a second choice keeper, whoever that may be, this summer. Max Evans with the €249 super chat. Max, thank you very, very much. Isak to Chelsea, I would absolutely hate to see it. I would hate to see it. I don't see it happening. What Max is referring to is apparently Chelsea have inquired about Isak, but they were put back by the fact that basically Newcastle want 115 million for him if it's Chelsea. So there is no way. That is not AFC Max. This is a different Max. This is another GOAT Max. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way that Chelsea are going to go and drop 115 million on Isak. So I'm not overly worried about it. Do you think England will beat Holland if we have to get them? It wouldn't surprise me if we did. It wouldn't surprise me if we did, to be honest. 1-0, you know? I mean, but only because Netherlands haven't been good. We've not been good. Neither have they, to be honest. So it wouldn't surprise me if we beat them, even if it was somewhat undeserved. Thoughts on Onana for Belgium? I think he's had a decent tournament. Look, if we went and got him for 40, maximum 50 million, I probably wouldn't complain too much. Finally back in a YouTube stream. Lukey, good to see you back. Some other news today. Caught Offside are reporting that Thomas Partey has been approached by the Public Investment Fund. PIF, that is the Saudi Arabian fund that basically controls all of the Saudi Arabian football. They decide who's going to go to the Saudi League, and then they decide which club they're going to play for. That's how it works over there. They have approached Thomas Partey, according to sources close to Caught Offside. The group has indicated its eagerness to negotiate personal terms for a potential transfer this summer, with Partey now open to proposals. As of today, Caught Offside has been informed that Arsenal are yet to receive any contact. PIF intends to first finalise personal terms with Partey, including identifying the specific Saudi Pro League club that he would join, before initiating talks with the club. Caught Offside's a dodgy source, though. Well, Caught Offside's a bit of an aggregator, right? Because sometimes Caught Offside have Fabrizio Romano on. Fabrizio Romano talks on Caught Offside sometimes. So it can be a dodgy source. By all means, it can be a very dodgy source. But there's that one. So I suppose take it with a pinch of salt. But I mean, it's been reported before that Saudi are interested in Thomas Partey. So what's your opinion on France so far? Not very good. But they weren't at the last World Cup. France weren't good throughout the last World Cup. France, Didier Deschamps is not a good manager. He's better than Southgate, but he's not a good manager. He's not an elite manager by any stretch of the imagination. He just has the French squad, right? I could coach the French squad to progress through the group stage at the Euros, realistically. So, yeah, France, it feels like France are the best team in the competition because of the squad they've got. I think right now the best team in the competition is Germany. I think that is closely followed by Spain. And I think Austria are a dark horse because Rangnick is a bloody good coach. So, yeah, basically. More than 30 million, Saudi. Saudi don't pay high transfer fees. I feel like people, generally speaking, Saudi do not pay high transfer fees. I feel like people have it in their head that Saudi means mega money. It means mega money for the players, right? And this is why PIF will negotiate personal terms for Partey first, because that's the expensive part of the deal for them. They know they have to pay insane wages to get players to go out there. So they negotiate that part first, and then they go to the clubs, and it's like, they don't actually pay a huge amount of money. If you look at the fees that Liverpool got for Fabinho and Henderson, you look at the fees that Chelsea got for Koulibaly and that, they're not huge. They're not huge transfer fees. Dembele has such poor decision making. Yeah, he's not very good. How much would you want? I'd take 25. I'd take 25 for Partey, which seems low, but he's out of contract next summer anyway, right? So Onana seems better moving forward than his defensive qualities in the Euros. Yeah, but I think we're seeing Onana do more in an offensive way than he usually does at Everton. But no, I think he's looked all right. More news today. This came from Simon Phillips. Arsenal are seriously interested in signing Eberechi Eze. However, pretty much every top club in Europe is looking at him and considering him, including Chelsea and Liverpool. However, it is Arsenal who are currently pushing the most for Eze. So Simon Phillips saying that there's lots of interest in him, but Arsenal supposedly are pushing the most at the moment. And then on to Smith Rowe. So this came from Team News and Ticks, which is obviously reliable. Team News and Ticks is a very reliable source. Fulham and Crystal Palace have both made contact with Arsenal regarding the availability of Smith Rowe. Arsenal want above 40 million for the player, which could be an issue. And the reason that I find this interesting is yesterday we were talking about the value of Nketiah being set at 50 million. And now we're talking about the value of Smith Rowe being set at 40 million. And already, supposedly, Fulham and Crystal Palace think that that's too much for him. So, I mean, riddle me that one. How is Smith Rowe worth less than Eddie Nketiah? To me, that doesn't make sense. Now, I still don't think you get 40 million for Smith Rowe anyway. But I also don't think you get anywhere near 50 million for Nketiah. Now, like someone said earlier in the stream, I don't mind us setting the price high and then that coming down to still a decent amount of money. I think that's better than starting low and ending up lower, like he said. Apologies, I can't remember who it was that said it. But it just feels a bit, I don't know. To me, Smith Rowe would be worth more than Eddie Nketiah. But I do think that is going to be the problem. Like, realistically, how many teams in the Premier League are going to pay 40 million for Smith Rowe? Or 50 million, 40 million for Nketiah even? Like, how many of them are going to pay that? There aren't many, really. Especially to then take their wages on. Like, Eddie's on 100 grand a week. That's expensive. 100 grand a week for a team like Crystal Palace or Fulham, that is expensive. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I really liked the sound of that package deal, to be honest. When Ipswich were talking about that package deal of 60 million for both of them, I would take that. But Smith Rowe's massively injury prone. He kind of is. Maybe that is the reason. Eddie does have more goals, but he's a striker. I'd be concerned if Eddie didn't have more goals than Smith Rowe. Fulham's record signings, 30 million euros. I don't think they're going to break that on Smith Rowe. Fair point. Did you know that Morten Hjulmand has an Arsenal tattoo? Would you take him to be a decent backup? I did know that he has an Arsenal tattoo, and I would take him. By the way, Hjulmand, in my opinion, would probably be good enough to start for Arsenal alongside Declan Rice. I think he's quality, so I'd bring him in as a potential starter. Finally managed to catch a live stream as a member. Chris, good to see you, and congratulations on being a member of the Rory Talks Football community. I'd love to see Eze. Yeah, I'd love to see Eze. I've said it before. I think Eze would be absolutely brilliant for us. In my opinion, Tielemans is better than Onana. Yeah, we're going... we're above going for him. Make it make sense. Better as an output. Yeah, but they're very different players. I feel like the reason that I don't think we're in for Tielemans, I think, is based on physicality. Because for me, Tielemans would have to be your Ødegaard replacement, really. In terms of, if you look at what we're looking at for the other 8, I think Tielemans would be, and he's not an Ødegaard replacement, but I think that's probably why. He's also, I was literally about to say, he's also on a lot of money. We ain't in for Bakayoko because he wants game time. I saw that, yeah. Actually, I didn't write that down. I should have written that down. There was a thing today from a Belgian journalist who said, because I said yesterday about Bakayoko and how apparently Arsenal were like really keen on him. There was a thing today from a Belgian journalist saying that people around Bakayoko were very surprised to see that because Arsenal haven't been linked to him. Apparently, Arsenal haven't had a conversation with Bakayoko's people in like a year because Bakayoko wants Bakayoko basically wants to start games. Like, he wants to go somewhere where he's a starting player. So, did my sound go low? Apologies. If my sound went quiet, then I apologize. But yeah, so I don't think we're getting back Erko, which is a shame. But what can you do? Great, all the links are disappearing now. We're going to buy crap. Don't panic. Do not panic. I said this yesterday. Calm. There are plenty of players on the market. Like, you hear about links, and then those links disappear. So you're like, oh, well, all of the things we're linked to have gone. We've no idea what we're working on in the background, you know? So it's all good. Did you see Osimhen priced down to 80 million? I didn't see that. I did see this from Fabrizio. So Antonio Conte, obviously now Napoli, has said on Victor Osimhen, he said, I'm aware of his situation. I know there's an agreement with the club, so it's a different case compared to others. What he means by that is if he says he wants to keep Osimhen, it's not really up to him. He said there's a pact between Victor and Napoli on his future, and I have accepted that. And then Fabrizio Romano added to that saying Osimhen expected to leave this summer. So Osimhen is going somewhere this summer. And, you know, there aren't many clubs in for him. There aren't many clubs that can afford him. And Arsenal are one of the few that can and need a striker. And the more this goes on, the more I could see Osimhen ending up at Arsenal. The more it goes on, the more I can see him ending up at Arsenal. Because he's going somewhere. And I think he's coming to the Premier League. And if it's not Chelsea, who else is it going to be? Realistically. I don't know. But if the price keeps coming down, there has to be a point. If the price keeps coming down, there has to be a point where Arsenal go, well, we just have to do that. We can't turn that down. We'll see. The other one today from Fabrizio, I'm dying of this heat. I've got heat exhaustion. It's unbelievable. Serhu Guirassy to Borussia Dortmund. Here we go. So those links to Guirassy were very short-lived. He is going to Borussia Dortmund, which is good. I did not want him. So happy days. I think Guirassy would have been a waste of money, even though he's cheap. So have you seen João Neves is starting as an 8 tonight? Ooh, I haven't even seen the lineups. Let's have a gander at the lineups. A bit of João Neves. What should be tasty? Oh, he is alongside Paulinho. Interesting. Danilo Pereira is the centre back. So they got Costa, Silva, Pereira, Inacio. I mean, they've already topped the group, haven't they? That's why. Yeah, Portugal have already guaranteed topping the group. That's why it's a weird lineup. Dalot, Paulinho, Neves, Neto, João Felix, still Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, and Conceição. And then obviously that Georgia team's like a 3-5-2 with Kvaratskhelia playing up top, which is interesting. Nice. That'll be interesting to watch. That will be interesting to watch. Very nice. So there you go. Osimhen has very limited options, and his release clause won't help him. Yeah, but they're going to step away from the release clause. They've already said that Fabrizio already said that Napoli are going to be open to offers well below his release clause. Literally, there was zero interest from any club at his release clause. Like, not even Saudi would pay it. So, his release clause is no longer a problem. Now you're just down. Literally, now it's down to Napoli need the money. Clubs need strikers. He is definitely going to leave them. Where does he end up? And it will come to a point where his price will reach a point where a club will trigger it. Whether that is Arsenal, maybe that brings Chelsea back to the table. Who knows? CR7 only starting so that he can score in the Euros to make records. He really does get put ahead of any team. Yeah, maybe. But do you know what? If anyone has earned that over the whole of his career, it's Ronaldo, I think. Messi as well, but I think he's earned it. I do think he's earned it. I hope they just get a penalty. Just get a penalty and give it to him. That's all we need. That is all we need. Why do people think Saka can play left back? He played there for a few games 5 years ago because we had no left backs and he was never a left back in his youth career. Yeah, it is frustrating. It is frustrating. And look, I don't think that's the solution at all. I still think the backlash that people were giving to Ian Wright today was ridiculous in terms of the people being like, Ian Wright's a traitor. I think he got it wrong. I think his judgment was wrong. It would be the equivalent of like Real Madrid had a misfunctioning left-hand side. And so their solution was like, well, Gareth Bale used to play left back. Let's stick him at left back. And we'll bring in Asensio on the right-hand side or something. Like, it's not a solution. It's not a solution. But, yeah, the backlash Ian Wright was getting was a bit excessive as well. So, sorry for being a little later. Had to fix my power. The rain messed with the power. No worries. No worries. Why you're bitter about CR7? Argentina gets away with fouls and no booking. Stop crying. No, I'm a Ronaldo fan. Did you see the pundit saying the tournament system is broken because Ukraine's out on 4 points? I don't understand what they could change. Yeah, that's just life. That's just life. Like, it looks different when it's in the context of this tournament because of the third place teams going through. But it happens in the Champions League. In the Champions League, you could get it where a team on, I don't know, 5 points even doesn't make it through the group. But then a team on 4 points does. Like, it can just happen like that. It can just happen like that. If Arsenal sign Gyökeres, will he replace Havertz? No. They will complement each other. They will both play multiple games. We're beyond the point of signing players and then completely replacing other first-team players. We have a first team that is capable of winning the league, really. Last year's team, that first team was capable of winning the league. So when we bring players in now, it's raising the floor of the squad. It's making sure that, like Man City, every single member in the squad is capable of playing pretty much any game. That's the level that we need to get to, which is good, which is great. So, yeah. Anyway, it is time for Guess the Guna, the game where I give you 5 clues about an ex or current Arsenal player, and you have to guess who that player is in the chat. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. Get your fingers on your keyboards because we are starting now. Icarus, no, there is no watch along tonight. It's too hot in this room. I'll actually die. Clue number 1. This player won the UCL once. They won the Champions League once. And they won the Premier League 4 times. They won the Champions League once and the Premier League 4 times. Clue number 2. They joined Arsenal in 2008. Clue number 2. They joined Arsenal in 2008. Clue number 3, they scored 3 goals in 43 games for Arsenal. Clue number 3, they scored 3 goals in 43 games for Arsenal. Clue number 4, they made 40 appearances for France. Clue number 4, they made 40 appearances for France. And clue number 5, they moved from Arsenal to Werder Bremen in 2010. Clue number 5, they moved from Arsenal to Werder Bremen in 2010. A harder one today. Today was definitely a harder one. You'll love to see it. Right, let me go and make sure I don't get VAR'd. But it was a difficult one. If anyone got that early, I would be very impressed. If anyone got that early. I don't think they did. No. I don't think they did. Here we go then. So the winner was... It was John. It was John P. Congratulations to John. It was indeed Mikel Silvestre. Congratulations to John. I think that's the first time John's won, you know. Ethan Udall was second. Izdan was third. Anu Brata was fourth. And Ross Lawman was fifth. There you go. That was definitely a difficult one. But it was Mikel Silvestre. Yeah. Can't even remember him. Can't lie. Yeah, something jogged my memory about it earlier or yesterday or something. So something jogged my memory. I was like, oh shit, yeah, he actually played for Arsenal. I kind of forgot about that. So that was a tough one. Which left back, left centre back has impressed you most thus far? We'll keep my eyes on Inacio today. Yeah, watch Inacio. Calafiori for me. Calafiori, I think, has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, Ake has been as well. Ake has been as well. But obviously, that's not really someone that we can go for. So, RIP to Carter. What happened to Carter? Oh, he missed the first two questions. That's unfortunate. Never mind. Wasn't getting that anyway. Yeah, fair. Anyway, it's time for Guess the Non-Gooner. I am going to give you the entire career path of a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal. And you have to guess who that player is in the chat. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks football community, but not as much respect as John P. currently has. This player started their career at Dynamo Kiev. They started their career at Dynamo Kiev. They went to Borussia Dortmund. They went from Kiev to Borussia Dortmund. They then went to West Ham United. They went from Dortmund to West Ham. They then went to Al Ain. And they went back to Dynamo Kiev. Dynamo Kiev, Dortmund, West Ham, Al Ain, and Dynamo Kiev. Who is the player? It's not Mudryk. It's not Shevchenko. It is not Shevchenko. Who's the first person to get it? It was SD. SD got it first. It was indeed Yarmolenko. It was Yarmolenko. Could you tell I was watching the Ukraine game before this started? VV Vlad was second. Ethan Udall was third. Sportcat was fourth. And Storm I Smith was fifth. So there you go. Congratulations. Apologies. Honestly, it's a bit of a shorter stream today. I am melting in this room. It's outrageous. So I am going to call it a little bit early for today. But I will be back live tonight on Twitch as usual. About 10:15, 10:30, we'll be live on Twitch. Continuing. There is no watch along. I'm sorry. I can't do it. The watch alongs will be back once it is not this hot. But yeah, I can't do it. Anyway. I hope you all have a fantastic evening. If you're not on Twitch, I will catch you all tomorrow. We will be back live as normal on YouTube tomorrow. But until then, have a good evening and goodbye.